It's now halfway into the third ever League of Path of Exile 2, and by now, most of you should have a good idea of what you like and dislike from PoE 2. If you're a fan of the first game, maybe you're in the same boat as me and feel like PoE 2 just doesn't grab you as hard as the first one. I'm here to talk about exactly why I feel like this and ask if you guys have felt the same way. These days, I'll start playing a new League of Path of Exile 2, and within a week, I've already finished doing what I find fun and slowly burn out of the league. I don't really bother with making new characters anymore, and farming a ton of currency doesn't keep me as interested as it does in Path of Exile 1. Is it a lack of variety in the endgame content, not enough build diversity, lack of chase items, or am I just getting old and stuck in my ways? Here are a few things I think are contributing to the current problems I have with the game, and if you think I don't know what I'm talking about, then leave a comment down below if you disagree or let me know what your thoughts are. So on to our first topic, speed of the game and character progression. I feel like I prefer the faster pace and character progression of Path of Exile 1 compared to Path of Exile 2. When you make a character in Path of Exile 1, the progression reminds me of games like Risk of Rain 2, Mega Bonk, or Vampire Survivors. You start off slow, and by the time you hit endgame, you're this godlike character moving as fast as your computer will handle, filling up your map with massive amounts of monsters, and then killing everything in a single blow. While many people prefer the slower pace of PoE 2, having that level of power fantasy in Path of Exile 1 is what keeps me playing. It's the fact that one day my character can actually get that fast and strong, or even seeing some of my friends' builds doing something completely unique to me. That gives me the compelling drive to reach that level of speed and power, and also gives me a reason to farm currency for those builds. Path of Exile 2 on the other hand is intended to be a lot slower and more methodical during the campaign, but I find that the vision falls flat as you reach maps. You still have a lot of area of effect skills damaging you and monsters running you down, but the speed of your character doesn't get much faster except for a few select builds. You can definitely still get strong enough to one-shot everything, but the lack of monster density and speed of your character just doesn't give that satisfying dopamine burst when you're zooming and your screen explodes with a ton of items. For some reason, I also just don't feel like the grind in Path of Exile 2 is as engaging along the way. Maybe there isn't enough build-defining uniques to chase after, maybe there isn't enough variety of ways to farm. Maybe locking into a weapon type and waiting for certain levels to unlock a skill just feels bad. Maybe there just aren't enough builds yet. That leads to our next point. Build diversity. Whenever I play a new League of Path of Exile 1, I find that every single person on my friends list is playing a build that's completely different. Whether it's mines, traps, minions, or movement skill builds, they all have their own unique playstyle, strengths, or weaknesses. It also feels like each character you make in Path of Exile 1 has a specific purpose, whether it's mapping as fast as possible, bossing, or doing league mechanics like Delve, Blight, Heist, Rogue Exiles, Legion, or T17 maps. It's not usually a one character fits all situation. And that reason drives me to farm currencies so I can make different characters to try new builds or keep tweaking my build to perform better in certain situations. Usually the first week or two into a league, someone will find something completely absurd, whether it's farming strategy, broken build, or item interaction, and the thought of that never fails to keep me interested in guessing what's going to happen during a league. In Path of Exile 2, it often feels like one character is supposed to be able to do all the content. While that's not really a bad thing for most people, it definitely affects my enjoyment of making new characters, as I don't see a need to make anything new if my current one can do everything. The limited amount of skills currently feels like a lot of people are playing the same thing, and there isn't much variety at the moment. So I have around 3,000 hours in Path of Exile 1, and still to this day I see new builds that people are playing that'll alone take 20 minutes to explain how they even work. And I'll often be left thinking, how does someone even come up with that? I always joke that someone who can come up with these builds has to have some sort of PhD in PoE. On to our next point, endgame mapping, item rarity. Currently, endgame mapping in Path of Exile 2 revolves around upgrading your maps with precursors, omens, emotions, and then using the Well of Souls to try and hit good abyssal modifiers on your maps. This level of mapping also relies on adding enough item rarity on your gear to make it worth it to run these maps. If you skip out on item rarity on your gear, you're just robbing yourself of currency being upgraded to higher tier currency, and you'll fall behind the curve when it comes to how rewarding the maps are. The reliance of item rarity, in my opinion, is a bad game design and makes it so you either have to run it on your gear or constantly wonder about what drops you're missing out on. The difference with Path of Exile 1 is that your endgame is more specialized than Path of Exile 2. You have your Atlas passive tree, which is allocated to the type of content that you actually want to run, whether that means investing heavily into one league mechanic and blocking out the others that you don't find fun, or things like running a bossing Atlas tree to fight 4 bosses at the same time at the end of each map. I find that system generally more engaging than the general you get what you get type of map farming that Path of Exile 2 currently is. I still really enjoy Path of Exile 2, but I've noticed that I don't get nearly as into it, and I really want to ask myself why. Because on paper, it's an amazing game. If you're still around for this part of the video, I'd appreciate it if you drop a like or subscribe to help me reach my 500 sub goal. And if you have any thoughts on your feelings of Path of Exile 2, then leave a comment down below.